So he run off mad pound like a little. Hey y'all, welcome and/or welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae, if you didn't know, and today's video is another true crime episode. So if you're ready, let's go. All right, y'all. So nails not done. I think I'm gonna do them probably later on this evening, sometime today. But y'all will see what I do in the next video. And yeah, I really don't have anything to say before I start today's case. So since I ain't got nothing to talk about, let's go ahead and hop into today's case. And if you've been here for a little minute now, then you already know we going from the backwoods to the city hoods of America in alphabetical order. So from Alabama to Wyoming, and today we are in South Carolina. So it's shortly before 8 a.m. on March 14th, 2017 at the Lexington County Sheriff's Office. And everybody who works there is trickling in. They grabbing their coffee, they eating their croissants, donuts, or whatever breakfast they decided to have, and whatever else it is that they do before they start their work day at 8 o'clock. And they realize that while they're getting ready to start work, something is just a tad bit off, because usually as they coming into the office they can hear music blasting right up until 8 o'clock, because the IT specialist Lindsay Lee, she liked to listen to music while she showered and got dressed for work. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but let me explain. So if I'm not mistaken, all police departments and sheriff's offices, they have showers within them, because these are police officers who work here. They deal with an array of different elements, bodily fluids, just all kinds of stuff on the job. And so these police departments provide showers for them to clean up. And Lindsay would use these showers in the morning because she would work out before she started her work day. And instead of going back to her house after she worked out to shower and get ready for work, she just went straight to work. So yeah, that's why she would shower and get dressed at the job. But this particular morning, there was no music blasting, and come 8 o'clock, there was no Lindsay at her desk. And this was very unusual for Lindsay to do, because Lindsay was very dedicated to her job. She was working her ass off at the sheriff's office in hopes of working for the FBI one day. And so it just wasn't like her to miss work without calling it, without, first of all, without a good reason, but without letting somebody know that she wouldn't be there. And at first there was no real panic, simply because everybody slip up every once in a while. Maybe she had overslept, maybe she had had a fun night out and just wasn't able to wake up that morning. So her colleagues had started calling her, but when they called her, they got no answer. And so they started to text her, and they would get no response to these texts. And this too was very out of character for Lindsay, because she would always answer her phone. And for whatever reason, if she didn't answer the phone, she was going to call you back. And her text messages, she always replied to. And so now the worry set in, because where the hell is Lindsay? It's pushing 9 o'clock now, and there's been no word from her at all. And so 10 o'clock rolls around, same thing. They called, text, no response. And it's at this point when they like, okay, you know what? We need to send somebody out there to check on her. So two of her coworkers go to Lindsay's house to check on her. And when they get there, they see that Lindsay's car is outside. And being the police officers that they are, they touch the hood of the car because they want to see if the hood is warm or not. And this would indicate whether the car has been turned on that morning. And the car was cold to touch. And so they was like, well, she ain't went nowhere, so let's just go check the house, right? So they go to knock on the door, and they realize that the door is slightly open. And fearing at this point that something bad might have happened to Lindsay, they let themselves in. And right away, they notice two things. One, that her groceries are scattered all over the floor. And two, they notice that there is water running somewhere. So they find the source of the running water, and it's coming from the bathroom. And in the bathroom, the curtain is drawn to the shower, and when they pull it back, this is when they find Lindsay in the tub, clearly deceased. She's nude from the waist up. She's only wearing a pair of workout shorts, and it is evident that there's been a cut to her throat. And upon finding Lindsay's body, they turn off the water and immediately back out of the house, because they now know that this is an active crime scene and they don't want to contaminate it. Outside of the fact that they had to turn the water off, they don't want to touch nothing as heartbroken as they are at this moment to have just found their coworker, they don't want to contaminate anything and they want to keep the integrity of the crime scene. And so they back out, call their boss, and their boss called the State Law Enforcement Division, commonly known as SLED. And if y'all are familiar with the Murdaugh family, then y'all have probably heard of SLED. Like I said, this is their State Law Enforcement Division that is over the whole state. Because now that they have found Lindsay deceased, the Lexington County Sheriff's Office cannot investigate her death because that would be a conflict of interest because she worked for them, with them. These are her people. These are people who loved her. They didn't want them to get tunnel vision and they didn't want there to be any skews in the investigation. Anytime that a law enforcement has to deal with the death of one of their own, an outside agency is called in to do the investigation. And so this is where SLED comes in. I'm pretty sure y'all know that already, but just for the ones who don't. Now, before we get into SLED's investigation, let me tell you a little bit more about Lindsay. She was born Lindsay Nicole Pilkington in Searcy, Arkansas on September 19th, 1985. She was one of two kids born to Deborah Cothran and Stephen Pilkington, and she was the oldest to her little sister, Carissa. And growing up, Lindsay was always very bubbly, outgoing, exciting, and very excited about everything. And she was always the one in the room with a wide smile, and you could tell that Lindsay was in the room by her infectious laugh. She was also very hardworking and dedicated to whatever she decided to put her mind to. Anything that Lindsay was trying to do, Lindsay was gonna do. She made friends wherever she went, and she was just the type of person who you could always depend on. And so the fact that somebody had hurt her in this way was unfathomable to her family and friends. So now we're gonna get back into SLED's investigation. And now that they've taken over the case, it's their job to figure out who will want to hurt Lindsay. Now, obviously, the investigation starts inside the house. And once they get into the house, they immediately suspect that Lindsay was surprised by an intruder. And they thought this because of the way her groceries was all over the floor. Remember when I told you that her colleagues had seen groceries on the floor, her running water? Yeah. The SLED investigators, they noticed that it looked like Lindsay had kind of stopped in her tracks and was startled and just dropped everything where she stood. They also immediately felt like this was a personal attack because nothing in Lindsay's house of value was taken. Her purse was still there. Her Fitbit was there. There was a $100 bill clearly visible in one of the drawers. And when they searched the rest of the house, they found in the washing machine a hoodie that belonged to Lindsay. And inside of the pocket of this hoodie was Lindsay's wallet. Now, granted, the thief probably wouldn't have gone inside of the laundry room and checked the washing machine, but still, the wallet was still there. And so they kind of concluded that the intruder wasn't like, give me all your money, you know? And then on Lindsay's body, they not only took note of the cut on her neck, but they also noted that her nails was cut down to the quick. And to them, the fact that her nails was cut down to the quick and the fact that the hoodie was found in the washing machine still wet, they figured that somebody was trying to get rid of evidence. They knew that there would be biological evidence probably on her hoodie, and they probably knew that Lindsay fought back and that their DNA would be under her nails. And so, yeah. And they never found her fingernail clippings at the scene, so somebody clearly took them. And now, after gathering all of this evidence and sending Lindsay's body off to the medical examiner to be autopsied, they talked to Lindsay's friends and family, and they want to know if they know of anybody who would potentially want to hurt Lindsay. And they immediately learn about two men in her life. And the first one is her fitness buddy and judo coach, Graham Hockley. And then the second one is her soon-to-be ex-husband, Jason Lee. So first, they want to go talk to Graham. And he told them that Lindsay had come to the gym after work the night prior, so on the night of the 13th. And he said that she completed her workout, they trained together, and she left alive and well. And he even said that he called her later on that night to make sure that she had made it home safely. But when he called her, he didn't get an answer. And this resonated with investigators because being that she was found dead the next morning, this made Graham Hockley the last person to see Lindsay alive. And that raised a couple of red flags. And so now they side-eyeing him like, yeah, she might have left your gym alive and well, but did you follow her? Did you make it to her house at any point of the night? And so they snatch up Graham's phone records with a quickness. And when they get him back, they learn that Graham was nowhere near Lindsay's home. at the time that they believe she was killed. They also did see on the phone records that Graham did in fact call Lindsay that night, and that the time that the call lasted, it indicated that Lindsay had not answered the phone. And then on top of that, they realized that Graham would have nothing to gain from Lindsay's murder or Lindsay's death, because Lindsay was pretty much his promotion, because Lindsay will post a lot of before and after photos of herself, and a lot of the time she would tag Graham's gym, because this is how she lost a lot of the weight, by doing judo with Graham. She had lost over 100 pounds in a year. And like I said, she would promote her before and afters. And by doing this, she would bring him a lot of clientele. And so he didn't really have a motive to want Lindsay dead. And so all of that cleared Graham as a suspect. So now they look into her soon-to-be ex-husband, Jason Lee. But they gotta go grab him, because Jason don't live in Columbia where Lindsay lives. He actually lives in Greenville, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Columbia. And so the SLED in Columbia contacts the SLED team in Greenville, and they have them get in contact with Jason to not only deliver the news of his wife's death, murder actually, but also to kind of feel him out. So the SLED in Greenville gets in contact with him. They go snatch him up from work. And while he's talking to them, he tells them that he was in Greenville at the time of Lindsay's murder. And he hadn't left. He said that he had moved up to Greenville when he and Lindsay had separated, because he just wanted to start anew, live a fresh new life, just start over. And he said that he didn't want a messy divorce. Hell, he didn't want a divorce at all. But in no way, shape, or form did he ever want any harm to come to Lindsay at all. And he even offered up them somewhat of an alibi. He said, listen, y'all can check the GPS on my work truck. I'm in this motherfucker 95% of the time, and it was up in Greenville during the time that y'all saying that Lindsay was murdered, so feel free. And they're like, okay, so what about your personal car? And he was like, hell, I don't even know where that's at. I think it might have got repoed. I don't know. I'm in a little bit of financial pinch right now, and I wasn't able to pay my car note. The motherfucker probably got repoed. I haven't even gone to look. I'm stressed. And so the SLED up in Greenville is kind of scratching their heads like, well, that's awfully weird. Your car was either repoed or stolen, and you didn't think to report it stolen or find out if it was repoed? Like you just didn't care? Okay, whatever, fine, cool. Maybe that's just a coincidence. But what was you doing on the night of the 13th? And Jason pretty much told them that on the 13th, he didn't do nothing major. He went to work, he went home, and then when he got home, he took something to help him sleep, and then started watching Netflix or something, some type of streaming service, until he passed out. And so the investigator was like, okay, cool. What was you doing on the morning of the 14th? And Jason said that he had woke up early feeling sick. And so he had went to Walmart to not only get him something to make him feel better, but he had also had to get some shaving supplies. And so he went to Walmart, and then he went back home. And so with that, they was like, okay, Jason, thank you for your time. You a little sketchy, but okay, whatever. Now, after Jason left the police station, they got to doing their investigative thing, and they went to Walmart to see if they could pull up footage of Jason at the Walmart, since he said that he went to Walmart on the morning of the 14th. And they do in fact find footage of Jason at the Walmart like he said he was. Oh, and real quick, I forgot to mention that back during the interview, back when they was questioning Jason, they noticed that he had a couple of little scratches on his face, and he said that he had cut himself shaving. Anyway, so now they find this footage of Jason at the Walmart. Like he said, he had went to go buy some shaving supplies and something to make him feel better because he wasn't feeling too hot that morning. And so they see him buy the stuff on the security cameras, but then they follow him outside of the store, and they have video surveillance cameras in the parking lot, right? And in the parking lot, they can see that Jason got into his work van, which corroborates the story that he really don't know where his personal car is, right? Okay, so they see him get into this work van, and then they see him drive to like a back part of the parking lot. And they see him stop at another car. And they can see that he does something at this car. They can't really see what he's doing, but they see that he has stopped at another car. And they like, okay, that's weird. Now, at this point, they have already subpoenaed his cell phone records and his search history on his computer and all that good stuff. And so that's in the process of being retained. I forgot to say that too. So while SLED up in Greenville is doing their investigation, Sled back in Colombia is gathering the digital footprint of Lindsay. Because remember, I told you that her Fitbit was found at the crime scene, and everybody in Lindsay's life said that she lived by that Fitbit, okay? And from that Fitbit, they gathered that after Lindsay left work, she went to the gym as per usual. She did her workout, and then after she was done working out, she went to Walmart, and she went to Walmart to grab just a couple of things, some food, some whatever it is that she grabbed, and then she went home. And the stuff that she had bought at Walmart is the same stuff that they found splattered on her floor. And so they know that once she got home from Walmart is when the attack happened. And her Fitbit ended up going offline at around 9 p.m. on the 13th. So now they have pretty much an exact timeline of what Lindsay was doing and when she was attacked. Now, back up in Greenville, I told y'all that they saw Jason go to another car in the Walmart parking lot. And they just kind of wanted to shoot their shot. So they head to this particular spot in the parking lot that they saw Jason go to. And lo and behold, they find what appears to be Jason's personal car. So they end up running the VIN number to this car because it has no plates anymore. And it is, in fact, Jason's car. So they get a search warrant to search this car. Because, sir, you told us that you didn't know where your personal car was. But then we see you at your personal car in the Walmart parking lot. Sir, please. Stop playing in our faces. Anyway, so they get this search warrant, and once the search warrant comes in, they start searching the car. And as they are searching this car, a van full of people pull up. And one of the people who is in this van is Jason. And Jason hop out the car cussing out the SLED investigators. Like, what is y'all doing at my car? Yada, yada, yada. Get the fuck out of my car, blah, 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 blah. And they like, pause. Baby, we got a search warrant. Ain't nothing you can do about it searching your car. Go get back in that van and ride out. So he run off mad, pouting like a little bitch while they continued the search of his car. And in this car, they find fingernail clippings, of which they assume are Lindsay's fingernails. And they send them off for DNA testing. So that's going to take a little minute to come back. And while they're waiting for the DNA results of those fingernail clippings to come back, they get the results of Jason's cell phone records. And what they find is that there's literally nothing. But then they hit that phone with that recovery search. And this is when they find out that Jason been researching defense attorneys and all kinds of incriminating stuff. And then they do that tracking for that Fitbit because he also had a Fitbit. And they realized that he used to wear that Fitbit faithfully. He wore that Fitbit day and night. And just so happens that during the time that they believe Lindsay was murdered, there is no activity on that Fitbit, not nothing. And at this point, they already like, yeah, we got him. But they really, really wanted that stick it to you, the one that you can't deny. And that's when the DNA profile came back from the nail clippings that they found in his car. And they learned that those were in fact Lindsay's nail clippings, and underneath was in fact Jason Lee's DNA. And yeah, it was pretty much over for bro at that point. And just 3 days after Lindsay's body was discovered, they arrested and charged Jason Lee with her murder. And I'm not really sure why, but Jason decided to take to trial. He decided to plead not guilty. And like I said, I'm really not sure why, because the prosecution had so much evidence against him, physical and digital, that you really couldn't refute the fact that he was the one who committed this crime. I really feel like it would have been better if he took a plea deal for him. I'm just saying. But he didn't, so trial it is. And obviously at the trial, the prosecution presented all the evidence that I just told y'all about, the physical and the digital, and they presented the motive that Jason was jealous that Lindsay had lost so much weight. And he really, when Lindsay got into her fitness bag, she really got into her fitness bag. And she stuck with Graham and she did the damn thing. And Jason, not so much. And he was the one who hired Graham to be their fitness coach. He was the one who selected him to do all of this. And even in the interview, and even in his initial interview, he said that he blamed Graham Hockley for him and Lindsay's separation. And so they pretty much said that it was a financial thing because Lindsay was about to sell the house and she would have gotten, once they divorced, she would have gotten all of the proceeds from the house. But if they were still married at the time of her death, he would have gotten the proceeds from the house. And then he was already down bad. He's talking about his car got repoed. So yeah, they pretty much presented a jealous financial motive against him. And the defense, they really just rested without saying much. They rested without calling a single witness, and they didn't really have much of a defense. They pretty much tried to blame it on Graham, but it didn't work. They knew it was a wrap. They knew Jason did it, and they really couldn't defend him very much against all the evidence. So they was just like, yeah, we just here because we gotta be. We here so we don't get fined. And after hearing both sides, the jury ended up agreeing with the prosecution and found Jason Lee guilty of the murder of Lindsay Lee. And he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. So yeah, that is all I have for today's case. Thank you all so very much for watching. Let me know what you thought about today's case down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Girls. Okay, y'all are cute or whatever. That's real nice. I gotta look. Leave. We're not gonna raise our arms because I didn't shave. Actually, I don't shave. I didn't wax my pits. I need a little stand so that I can hold my notes. Oh, that would be nice. Like a little, I wonder if I can get a music stand. Because I like to write my notes out. I don't type them and I don't have them on the computer, so. Because they're IT specialists, because they listen to music while she got dressed. No. And this too was very out of character. No, yes. And they boss called the state law. And they boss called the state law enforcement edition. No. That polo candle over there struggling so bad. And so they snatch up Graham's phone records with a quickness. But no, wait. And so the sled down. And so the sled in green, no. And Jason tells them that on the 13th, he didn't do nothing major. He went to work, he went home, and he went to Walmart. No. Oh, they didn't let him go yet. That Jason had been researching they find, because this is when they find, and this is, what?